Investors, welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. And I hope that you are all doing wonderful out there today. It was Monday, so the markets were back open for trading, and it did not disappoint. A very green day in the markets, as we could see by the heat map on screen. And the major indexes of both the SPY and the triple Qs did push up once again. So we are seeing the rally continue within the markets right now. A lot of bullish momentum this month. Some like to call October Uptober, and I see why. A lot of assets are flying today. We're going to be covering three different assets. We're going to first start out with AMD, which had a massive day today, gapped up by 25%. We're also going to be covering QBTS, so the plays around quantum computing. Another amazing day with quantum. Unbelievable the price movements we are seeing currently within those stocks. And then we're going to finish with BMNR, Bitmine Immersion Technologies, which also had a really positive bullish day. So before we get into it, as always, I just want to remind everybody that this is not financial advice, just financial entertainment, just like the markets are entertainment. Woo! Let's go. My gosh, so much excitement. I hold some AMD. I hold some AMD options contracts, and actually I hold them on AMDL, the double leveraged opportunity. I'll get to that in a second, but just first going off of the actual price movements of AMD. Yes, we saw this massive gap up today, and this is incredible because I already had these trend lines drawn out from the other day, and we could see I had a line drawn here that goes all the way back to March 8th of 2024, which was the peak in AMD. And so many this last year have joked about AMD being the automatic money destroyer, because since that moment in March of 2024, so it was a long journey to get back to here, AMD did have a lot of bleeding, but we started to follow this uptrend in AMD. We did fall under it in the short term, and we were just talking about this play recently because we did see we were low on the relative strength index, and also it did appear that a bullish cross in the MACD was happening, which is exactly what happened. So just going off technical analysis, it is incredible how this all played out. And then when we actually talk about AMD, what sent it up today, there was a bullish catalyst as they did sign a deal with OpenAI. So ChatGPT essentially, and with this, they're going to supply OpenAI hundreds of thousands of AI chips. And with this does also give OpenAI the ability to buy up to 10% of AMD for just 1 cent per share. So AMD is expecting more than 100 billion revenue from OpenAI with this deal. This is absolutely massive, and we recently started covering AMD because of all the true intrinsic value within this company and the overall movement that we are seeing right now. When we just talk about what is happening in society and in the world, we are seeing a massive push towards AI, towards technology. We are seeing a lot of these data centers being built out. And then, of course, the largest company in the world right now, the largest market cap we have ever seen, as of course NVIDIA. They are a chip supplier. AMD, not much different. They are also a chip supplier, but NVIDIA has a market cap at 4.4 trillion. AMD, after today's movements, is now sitting at 330 billion. So still a long way for AMD to run up to get to the size of NVIDIA. Not quite nearly as large, but still a lot of true value with AMD. They also have all these super valuable chips, just like NVIDIA, and they are also signing deals with a ton of different companies, putting their chips in a ton of different computer systems, now working with OpenAI. But they have all of that with advanced micro devices, and then their next quarter is expected to be their largest quarter ever, with Wall Street expecting the next quarter to come in at 8.72 billion. And so some have joked about AMD being the automatic money destroyer, but others like to call it the automatic money doubler, which is exactly what happened in my account today. So I'm always telling you guys all about options contracts, and I'm always stressing leverage. And I cannot emphasize enough that if you are not investing into options contracts or you don't have the knowledge to do so, I really recommend doing your own due diligence and really getting into the options market, even if you were starting with very small capital, because the exponential return on investment within these markets are incredible. So what I have here on screen is an options contract that I am in within AMDL. This is the double leveraged opportunity of AMD. So every 1% AMD goes up, AMDL goes up by 2%. And as you could see, this options contract today moved up by 140%. That is mind-blowing. To be able to double my money and almost 1.5x it in just a single day, absolutely euphoric, unbelievable. You could see my contract value here at the bottom, and my total return, I was up a little bit before today, is 183%. And I just bought these in September. So in less than a month's time, these have almost hit 200%. I am always emphasizing these options contracts. I made a video on it a long time ago. I'll put the card up at the top, and I'll also put the video at the end of the video when I'm closing out, and it shows the two videos on the sides of the screen. But I'll put that there. And if you don't understand options, that is a great video to get you into this type of investing, because the markets right now are doing crazy things, and we are expecting the markets to get even crazier with quantitative easing coming up so soon. We already saw QE last month when the Fed cut for the first time this year. We are expecting again this October and another one later this year. And in general, just when we talk about the overall money supply and where we are as an economy, the Federal Reserve really cannot raise rates or hardly even pause rates because of how funky and messed up the money supply is. They really need to continue to bring down that rate, and they recognize that. Just if we talk about the history of money and when we talk about interest rates, it's so hilarious when you look back at Paul Volcker, who was the federal chairman in the 70s, 80s, and he increased interest rates all the way up to about 20% basically overnight. That could never happen in today's economy. If you want to know more about that, check my video on Sunday. But I absolutely love leveraged opportunities, and this is what you get when you combine leverage with leverage. The double leveraged opportunity in a leveraged derivative of an options contract, absolutely euphoric. With AMD, again, we did break up all the way to this high today. Now, we have been on this trend throughout the year. We were slightly under it recently. I could see a potential pullback in AMD from this spot. So worst case scenario, because right now we are a bit overvalued on the relative strength index, I could see a little bit of a pullback. But even if that were to happen, I am not concerned because I am investing for the long term. Those options contracts are set out to March, so I have a lot of time with AMD. What I actually expect more than that is a gap up from this point, because we are a bit overvalued on the RSI. But on the MACD, we still have a lot higher to run, and today's catalyst was huge. So when we talk about movements in the market, sometimes there is small pump and dumps in different stocks when there really is no news or catalyst to push a stock up. It just naturally, just out of nowhere, pushes up, and many times those upticks can be eaten. With this, I do see a gap up happening because there's, again, a lot of true intrinsic value with AMD, and they are just adding to that value with this recent deal with AMD. So it'll be very exciting to see where AMD opens up. So now we're going to get into our next stock, which is QBTS, D-Wave Quantum, my favorite quantum computing play on this channel. And I just got to say, wow. Mind blown. I can't believe right now we are looking at a price of $35 in QBTS. We have followed this play and quantum throughout the entire year, and it has been absolutely euphoric. We started talking about QBTS when it was around $5 in March, April, May, around that time, when it was at this lowest level of rising support and resistance. It absolutely exploded through that level, and then in the recent terms has exploded through even more levels and is now sitting at price discovery. This is amazing to see. We have been covering QBTS and quantum a lot because we have been talking about how with risk assets, these are what benefit the greatest from the Federal Reserve and their rate cutting cycle that we are currently in. And well, as you can see by QBTS, that is absolutely true because quantum continues to push up, even though this play right now is sitting a bit high on the relative strength index and on the MACD. I foresee this momentum to continue because Q4 of this year for the markets, when we talk about the macros with QE, is going to be absolutely just insane. And it's crazy to look at this chart just throughout the year because when we just talk about trend lines on technical analysis, it's just crazy how so often these stocks really do follow right along these trend lines. So as you can see right here, I mean, it's been a very predictable ride with QBTS, and in just 1 year, QBTS has outperformed Bitcoin over the last 5 years. So this has been running up like crazy. And you know that the bears cannot be too happy with this because we have been covering this again since the early part of the year. And this entire time, there has been a very high short interest within QBTS. So a lot of shorts still against this quantum play, and they got to be having their accounts on fire right now. A lot of money being burnt for anybody who is still shorting these quantum plays. Even as high as it has ran up, I foresee the future in quantum, not just D-Wave, but all these quantum plays continuing. I'm not saying that in the short term we can't get a pullback sometime, but never are we going to get a crazy pullback even to where the 200-day moving average is currently. That will rise up along with the price with QBTS because right here, quantum just has a lot of real value in society. There's been a lot of research and development over the last 20 years, but a lot of breakthroughs this last year. QBTS, our favorite quantum play, as I've mentioned many times, because of all the companies they are working with, how great their customer acquisition has been. And I just love this company because of who runs this company. If you look up the CEO of this company, Alan Baratz, a super great guy. He has been with QBTS since the beginning, and he has even built quantum computers by hand. So he is a very intelligent individual. I love the quantum sector. I am in QBTS. I am also in this double leveraged play QBTX. And again, just when we're looking at opportunities in the market, the movements in this have been insane because every 1% that QBTS goes up, this goes up by 2%. And so right now with my play in this, and this is just shares, I am up more than 300%. I can't believe the euphoric movements that we are seeing within the markets. Again, this is never financial advice, just entertainment. But I could tell you, if you start playing with double leveraged, you're going to be very entertained by the movements, just never over leveraged. But these movements are crazy, and Q4 this year is going to be crazy. My mind is blown, guys. I love this stuff. All year has been a dream come true. I again thank everybody who has subscribed to this channel, who is in the comment sections, who is a fan of this channel, because you guys really motivate me to continue to do this. And this has just been such a fun year. And again, with quantum, it's crazy. I was calling out QBTS to 10x when it was at $5. And I mean, right now we are currently at $35. So that is very possible. If QBTS gets up to $50, that will be a 10x from when we started talking about it in April. And what's even crazier is that isn't even the high with QBTS. So I didn't even call it at the absolute low. In all honesty, even I got in to quantum a little bit late because these plays in 2024 were less than $1. So I got in later after there had already been massive movements, but that's just because I understood the story of quantum and I see the big picture and how quantum is going to play such a big role in the future, along with AI, technology, robotics, just all these really futuristic ideas. That's why we're covering AMD. That's why we're covering QBTS. And that is why we are also covering this last stock here, which is BMNR and Bitmine Immersion Technology, another company that is following right alongside this trend line that I have drawn out. Again, just technical analysis. It's crazy sometimes how predictable stocks can actually be when you just put down a trend line. So BMNR, of course, had its most massive pop earlier in July. That was with the announcement that the board was adding Tom Lee. After that, there was a dump down, but now we are in this rising level of support. So we are getting higher lows, and then we are also getting lower highs here. So we are building on this trend in general. I am very bullish on this company. I am holding for the long term. I have shares in BMNR. I also have options contracts on this company too. A lot of volatility associated with Bitmine immersion. And the reason why it rallied today was basically because of Ethereum. As we have mentioned many times, this company has the largest holding of Ethereum in the world. Company's holdings include 2.83 million Ethereum. That is insane. So if you love leverage, again, I love leverage. Well, this is a leveraged Ethereum asset, and Ethereum is waking up, and crypto should continue to go crazy in Q4 because of what the Federal Reserve is doing. So right now, Ethereum sitting at 4,600. I do believe that Ethereum sometime very soon will reach back into 5,000. We also have Bitcoin hitting all-time highs right now. And when we talk about the psychology of a market cycle, I do believe that we are just in the beginning stages of a very strong bull market that is going to be ensuing through the rest of this year and through the next year going forward, because the Federal Reserve is really what matters most within this markets. They are always pumping the markets. The more Jerome Powell cranks that money printer, the more the markets soar and risk assets soar the highest. That is why we cover all these different plays. Again, if you don't understand leverage, if you don't understand options contracts, check out that video I did there, because it will be a great justice to you. And what I love about learning, whether it's watching YouTubers talk about different stocks and I pick up a golden piece of information, or whether it's books, I always love just expanding my knowledge, because all it really takes is to hear or to read something that can change your entire life. And that is why I am so serious about options contracts and just spreading the word of this. Just like some Bible thumpers love to spread the word of Jesus Christ, that's how I feel with options contracts, because it has changed my life so much for the better. I mean, seriously, when you could double, triple, quadruple, 10x your money on small movements, it just frees up so much. And it has just been an incredible year. Again, thanks to all of you who have subscribed to this channel and supported me. It has really encouraged me to do a lot. We'll also finish just talking about trend lines. Again, we'll finish with this stock. This will be the bonus stock of the day, but that is Tesla. And it's just incredible because, again, with trend lines, these are already trend lines I have had drawn out. This is a rising level of support and resistance, and we could see that Tesla recently has woken up a bit, but still within this trend. It's just crazy to see how it is following right alongside that rising level of resistance. But as we could see right here, it is at this major spot of resistance also. And so Tesla right now at a very interesting spot. I do hold Tesla for the long term, again, with leverage, with TSLL. Every 1% that Tesla goes up, TSLL goes up by 2%. So thank you guys so much, as always, for coming to my daily talk of stock. This is always so much fun to do, and I am just loving what we're seeing in the markets right now. October really is becoming October. I would love to hear from all of you, so please drop a comment. Please let me know if you are invested into any of these plays, or if there is anything else that you are currently looking at within the markets. Also, please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next daily talk of stock.